Haribol, Haribol. Welcome the ahankara, the brave ahankara party people, class number 11. You guys are the brave souls. It keeps dwindling down every class. There's less and less people who want to hear about the ahankara, it looks like. So these are the brave souls. So today, I'm not going to talk about ahankara. I'm actually going to talk about something that is our website, which talks about ahankara, but our new website is ready. So I invited Angelique here. You can call her Angie for short. I've been working with her for the past 8 months on this website for the Vedic Psychology Institute, and she lives in Cambodia. And she just happened to be coming to India to visit some friends in Jaipur. And I said, you're coming to Jaipur? Come here, we'll get you a taxi, come. So she just arrived a couple hours ago, and we just met for the first time. Okay. So anyway, we just met today, a couple hours ago, and so I just want to warmly welcome you. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. It's nice to see all your beautiful faces.
And she's done a wonderful job on this website, really helping me think through a lot of things, and also with Babaji. We've had a couple meetings with Babaji as well. So now we want to present the website to you.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to highlight a few key points from the website, and then I will hand over to Dr. Joshi, and she'll go a little bit more in depth. So first, as an introduction, with the website, we are bringing ancient Vedic wisdom. It's where ancient Vedic wisdom meets the modern mind. So we are opening the doors to the timeless truths of Vedic psychology, and we want to see the teachings ripple through all aspects of your life.
I just want to add one thing. We're going to kind of like tag team a little. So these doors, you see all the different layers there, like in a row? So Babaji picked this illustration. It's his favorite because he said that like the layers of the mind, it's going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, you know? Multiple times I tried to pick a different illustration. I was like, oh, this one's okay, but can we have this one? And he really wanted to keep it because of that. Because of, we're going all the way into the heart, the doors. So that was his choice.
Perfect. So now I'm on the About page, and I just want to speak a little bit about the purpose, vision, and mission. So I'll start with the purpose. The purpose really is the core of Vedic psychology. If you strip everything away and you ask why, the purpose is what you get. So the purpose is to guide people on how to attain ultimate happiness. The mission is how we achieve the purpose. So this is done by educating people on how to understand and use the instrument of the mind so they can transcend suffering and attain eternal happiness. And now the vision, this is like the overarching goal. What does Vedic psychology want to achieve? And this is to transform minds and hearts so that all of humanity can achieve blissful relations and eternal love. Wow, yeah. So everything we've done on the website has been very much in line with this. We've also got a video of Babaji speaking about the purpose, vision, and mission, so you guys can watch this when the website is live. And we have an explanation of the logo as well, but I won't go into that. Again, you guys can see that when the website is live. Something else that we have is a course catalog where you can see all Vedic psychology courses in one place. We've also broken them down into a few categories, and this will help you try to figure out which course is best suited for you at a specific time. The course that we have first is Start Here. So this is where you really get a foundational knowledge of Vedic psychology. Also, if you have family members or friends who are interested but they're not too sure where to begin, this is the category for them. I'm sure you guys are well acquainted with the parts of the mind, so of course we've got a category for that as well. We've got a category for personal development. I will scroll slowly so you guys can have a look at the various courses. I also want to point out the very beautifully illustrated drawings. This was done by Devika, and she did a fantastic job of really representing the essence of the course and also tapping into that Rajasthani style. For the next category, we've got rocking relationships. So be it a relationship with a romantic partner, a friend, professional, there is definitely something in this category for you.
I just want to say something about that. So all of these courses are taught by Babaji, and some of these topics he's never talked about, outside of the Vedic psychology recordings. And so, for example, sex is something a lot of people feel too embarrassed to ask a guru about, but they have a question, so maybe they try to Google search it, or they try to look at something on Jiva.org that somebody, maybe he kind of answered, but this is a whole hour-long course of him talking directly about sex. So that's what we think might be the bestseller. Let's see. That's our prediction.
Absolutely.
We'll keep you posted.
Cool. So moving on, we've also got a category called Healer's Haven. So this is for yoga teachers, Ayurvedic practitioners, or anyone really within the healing space. And then we've also got something for parents that they can use with their kids as well.
And this is a Hitopadesh story of the tiger and the traveler. So we made it into an animated cartoon for kids with decision-making points. Every 1 or 2 minutes of the cartoon, you pause, and then you ask the kid, what do you think? Would you take that gold bracelet from the tiger or not? Let's talk it through, So the parents can understand how the kid thinks, and then educate them on how to make smart decisions.
Cool. All right. Yes.
Would you mind pressing Command plus once or twice to increase the text size?
There we go. Is that better? Okay, great. Thank you. There's also a little blurb about the story behind the creating of e-courses, but Dr. Joshi has already touched on that. We also have something for teachers or people who want to become a Vedic psychology teacher. Next thing I want to talk about is where to begin, because we have so many beautiful courses. Maybe it's a little bit overwhelming and you're not too sure which one to choose first. Is there something you wanted to add?
No, I'm just laughing.
Okay.
We have 22, 22 e-courses.
Yes. So what Dr. Joshi has done is she has created a Svabhava survey. So your Svabhava is your inborn nature. I will quickly run through the different options or the different types. Again, we've broken this down into 3 groups. So we've got the uplifters, the movers, and the shakers, as well as the enhancers. So for the uplifters, we've got the guru, the lifelong learner, the provider, and we've also got the healer. And over here, we have curated specific courses or other offerings for these Svabhava types. So we're really trying to give people guidance on what they might need according to who they are in their true nature. For the movers and shakers, we have the outsmarter, the leader, the protector, the administrator, and the go-getter. And then for the final group, the enhancers, we've got the creator, the adventurer, the entertainer, and the connector. So I will highlight one of the recommendations. So let's say, for example, you have done the survey and you find out that you are the lifelong learner. You fall under the Svabhava group of the uplifters. So you can come to this dedicated page for the uplifters and you can get some course recommendations as well as offering recommendations specifically for you. All right, so now we are going to talk about the masterclass.
I just want to say, sorry, one thing real quick. Yeah,
Cool.
Before the masterclass, the Svabhava survey, I don't know if any of you have ever been at the level of creating a survey, but that's a lot of work. And then once it's created, you have to test it. And so I want to just take a moment to thank Vilas. He was testing the survey for us, catching a lot of bugs, and then rewriting part of it so it didn't spit out really weird results. So thank you very much, Vilas, on top of all your other seva. I really appreciate that. And also Vilas and Bhushan were testing the site for us and telling us that button doesn't work, this doesn't make sense, that's missing. So thank you guys both very much for all your help and support behind the scenes.
Absolutely, thank you. All right, so the masterclass. Dr. Joshi can speak about this a lot better than I can, so I'm going to hand over to you.
Okay, so let's see first things first. Does anybody recognize anything you can name in the picture? Let's start with that. Please tell me something. Just throw me a bone here. Yes. You get the mic so someone can hear. Ooh, what's that thing called? Yeah. Is it a placemat for your food? No. What is it called? Feelings wheel. Yeah. The feelings wheel. So there it is. So there's a feelings wheel. There's the laptop with one of the lectures on it, right? And there's a little book for notes. So what the masterclass is, that's the name that Angie gave it of the 28 lectures I've given over this year on Vedic psychology. So what we've done is it possible to no, okay, we don't have to show them. So basically all 28 of those, they're on YouTube, like you guys know, they're also on Facebook, but now we put them in this website, in the e-learning portal. So you don't have to go onto YouTube, and you don't have to email someone and go, where are the slides? I mean, I got so many text messages and emails, where are the slides, over the past 6 months. So now they're all in one place, and it doesn't cost anything. You can just register for the masterclass. All 28 lectures are there, and all 28 sets of slides are there with it. So that's what the masterclass is. So just say, for example, you sat through all these classes. You may not have the need for them. Or you're like, oh yeah, what was that one on empathy? You can quickly go grab something. So you can review it. You can, or just say you wanted to tell a friend about it. You know, they can just go right here and not have to dig around. You don't have to forward them things. So that's what the masterclass is. Yes.
And I'd like to add one more advantage of having the masterclass here in this portal, which is that it's ad-free. So you don't have the ads that run on YouTube.
Yeah.
If you don't have YouTube Premium.
That's a big advantage.
Yeah.
No interruptions, just focus on the content.
Yep, that's a nice thing too. Okay, so that's the master class. Then the thing related to the master class is called the Vedic Psychology Study Group. So today's the last day I'm teaching until October, till the end of October, right? So for these 6 months, if you want to continue somehow, if you like studying Vedic psychology, now I'm going to be offering a study group at the exact same time. Every Saturday at the normal time I'd be sitting here as a study group. And what we're going to do is I'm not introducing any new concepts because I introduced a lot of concepts. The content that I taught was very dense. You know, even one slide we could have spent the whole class on, right? And I didn't leave a lot of time for questions because I was trying to give out a lot of information, right? So we mostly heard what I said, and then you kind of practiced it in our group exercises. So now we're going to study it if you're interested, which means if you decide to join, it starts in May. On the first Saturday in May, May 4th. So what you would do is you'd go log into the master class, you'd watch video 1, my intro to Vedic psychology class. You'd watch that, you'd review the slides, and you come with questions. So I'm not giving any lecture. It's for you to come with questions and study it and apply it to your life and be like, oh, this thing you said about empathy, you know, I looked it up and it said this, or could it relate to that? Because we never really got to do that, you know, and I never really reviewed and we went in depth. So that's the idea. And if you don't have time to review, you can still join. There's no prerequisite that you have to have watched all the slides. You can still just drop in. It's a monthly subscription too, so it's not like you pay per class, but there is a charge, partly because I have to pay for the website work now. So I have to recoup some of my costs. I wish I could just give it free to everybody, but anyway, so that's the VP study group, and that's what goes with the master class. Okay?
Do you want to touch on the other groups?
Yep. Then I'm offering a few other new groups. If you're interested. So one of the groups, so VP study group is the one that is just for studying. It's not therapy. If you're like, oh, how should I do with my husband, you know, this and that, that's not for VP study group. VP study group is talking about the concepts and going more in depth. If it might happen to relate to something personal and you introduce that, I'll bring it up kind of, and I'll bring it more like a concept. I'm not going to go into one-on-one personal therapy in a group setting like that. I'm going to keep us more to studying. But if you feel like, no, I kind of want to do group therapy, some people might, there's a group therapy that I offer now called the Inner Circle Group Therapy. It meets once a week for an hour, and there's going to be some people probably here who are going to join and some people online. And we're going to meet once a week for an hour, and it's called a process group. So some of you may have heard of this type of group therapy before, a process group. So you just come in and you process. So I'm going to sit there and say, okay, what do you guys want to talk about today? And someone's going to go, my boss is such a jerk, I have no idea what to do. You know, and I'll say, what happened? And the person will say it. And then I'll say, can anyone else in the group relate to that? Oh yeah, you wouldn't believe what my boss did. My boss is a total narcissist. Oh, what do you think a narcissist is? So it's conversational, but I'm going to guide and direct. And it's kind of like you're processing whatever happened, but also relating to the other people. I'll thread that through. And it's also psychoeducational, meaning I'll teach to whatever you bring. Like how I teach here is not that way. I have a plan, and I teach, as you see, very systematically to my points. A process group, I'm just going to teach spontaneously to whatever you bring to the group. But I'm also going to be pulling your feelings out. So that's what the inner circle is. There's one requirement for that. You have to be a current client. Otherwise, it's a little tricky to do group therapy if I'm not also seeing you individually. Okay? So that's the inner circle group. The third group is for healers. If you're like a doctor, if you're a therapist, if you're an Ayurvedic practitioner. In other words, if you have clients, you know, if you're some sort of energy healer, anything that you have clients, I'll be meeting twice a month. And it's called a clinical case study group. And that group, you bring your client to me. They're not coming, but you bring the case study. You say, okay, I've got Joe Schmo. I've tried everything, and he's still anxious. I can't figure it out. What do you think? And so I'll ask you questions. I'll give you ideas on how I would address it, and then you go and try it. I'll give you the Vedic psychology, what I would do with their, maybe the ahankara issue, maybe it's this samskara. So I'll give you take notes, and it's in a group. So other practitioners are also listening. You're learning from each other. You can also discuss, but you'll take turns presenting, and we'll see how many we can get done in an hour. So that's twice a month to support, I almost call it like a secret weapon for healers. If you're a healer, you can have a secret weapon of Vedic psychology in addition to whatever else you're doing. A homeopathic doctor, acupuncturist, any kind of thing. You can use Vedic psychology clinically. So that's what that one is. Those are the 3 group options. So one's therapy, one's for your clients, and one's studying. So I also offer a lot of different types of sessions. So most of you only know that I offer one type, come and see me for Vedic psychology therapy, right? But I do many other types. And because of Angie pulling it out of me, and you do that too, and you do that too, these are all things I do, but how I've done it up until now is I spontaneously just offer it to my client. I'll be like, depending on what happens in the session, I'm like, you need to make an awareness meter, let's make one. But it's actually a thing. It's actually a specific thing I do. And so what we did was we put 9 different types of sessions that I offer, just because you don't have to go into deep psychotherapy with me for years on end. You can actually book a one-off session. For example, can you go to just the top one up there? For example, like I taught about sattvasizing your senses. I've been meeting with clients one-on-one for years doing that, making a sattvasize your senses plan with them, and it's really fun. It's not deep we're not going into your samskaras of childhood, So that's what I'm saying. So it's good to pull these out and see the different options you can do if you want to do something with Vedic psychology over these 6 months break. Another one is grief. I hear about grief all the time, and I know we're learning from Babaji, right, that we're not the body, and we shouldn't be having grief, but if you do, we also don't want to ignore it. So I can help you process that so you can get a relief from that. I used to be a hospice grief counselor, so I have a lot of years of experiencing and holding the space for people who've lost a loved one. Or maybe you're facing your own death or your own mortality or, something like that. So whatever is related to grief, I'd be happy to help on that. Then I offer something, this is a new thing, but it came up because of some of my clients in the West have such a busy life that they literally cannot find an hour to meet with me. They do not have an hour. So I'm like, all right, what about a pop-in session? Just 15 minutes. Just come for 15 minutes. And I also tried it at the ashram, seeing some of the people here. In 15 minutes, you can get a lot out of it, actually. Partly because I talk really fast. No. Just kidding. So I'll just speed it up a notch, But anyway, there's value in that, Maybe you don't want an hour of deep therapy. You just want to pop in. So it's called a pop-in session. It's 15 minutes. And just come with whatever your question is. And I can give you some things to take away from. Or if you're like, I don't know about Vedic psychology. I don't know about seeing a psychologist. I just want to dip my big toe in. Just book a 15-minute session and we can try and see. I also can refer you to things. If you're like, I don't really see doing this long term, is there something, but here, I want to tell you my problem. I'll say, okay, have you heard of this and this and this? There's this and this. So I can connect you to things, maybe books, maybe videos, maybe other groups, different types of things to support you. The next one's called a daily routine, which seems like I know my routine, but Babaji teaches a whole class called From Dog to God, the Doggy Daily Routine. And he teaches a whole hour-long, very detailed class about the basics of what you need to have to be successful in spiritual life, basically, which is having a certain type of routine. He doesn't even get into what you should be doing spiritually, just how to manage the body and the mind. So that I can help make, especially if you took the class and you wanted somebody to practically put one together for you, because we can't all do the same cookie cutter thing. We have other things in our life, So that's one. And then this other one is build your own awareness meter. Probably 8 years ago, remember Malati? When I did that very first class, the awareness meter, So I've been doing that for so many years, and it's so fun. Some of you guys have made one here, So what you do is you pick whatever the feeling is or the issue that's coming up for you that triggers you, and then we make an awareness meter for that. And the awareness meter helps you see your mind and the more subtle parts, so you can control it and calm it down before you're like 10 out of 10 and you yell at somebody or you go into a deep depression, So that's a really nice one. The awareness meter. Then nurturing your inner child. I talk about it all the time, but I've never actually said I offer this thing. So now we're putting it down. Yes, that's what I do. A lot of you know who have worked with me that I talk to your inner child, right? So it's actually a thing. You can book a session and I can talk to your inner child and teach you how to do it. Some of my clients, I tell them to record it. To record me talking to your inner child when I'm doing it. And you can keep that recording and use it, because it's very hard to do it yourself. it's like itching your back on the point that you can't reach. So when I do it, I just say record it, and then you listen to that same recording, and that can help you get into that mode of connecting to your heart. And then there's healing with storytelling, which is a very, very, very powerful thing. That's a lot of how what's happening with us when Babaji is telling us about the Bhagavad Gita, stories from the Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, right? He's telling stories, and it's so healing. So the only twist on it is that we're actually talking about your story. So that's what I do. It's called narrative therapy, and I would meet with you, hear your story, ask you questions, pull it out, and put it onto, give you some journaling work, and then you read it to me, and we process your story, and it helps you integrate something that maybe you couldn't digest in your life on your own, some trauma, something that, it doesn't have to be a trauma. It could be that you were going for the promotion, you're working a year for it, and someone else got it. Or you got fired, it could even be in your career. But just something you can't digest, it's still bugging you. Healing with storytelling is really powerful. And Babaji and I actually gave a recorded class on that. That was an e-course for a big company in Florida, in California, maybe 5 years ago, called Healing with Storytelling. They filmed us. We were in Hollywood, if you can believe it. We went to Hollywood. And they had the lights and everything, and they made a Healing with Storytelling class of ours, but they won't let us have the rights to it. So I would like to get it and put it right here because it was so good. He brought the Bhagavad Gita and he set it out there, and it was so nice. But anyway, maybe we can try to get it or make another class on that. But I can help you heal with making your own story. Then the last one is leveraging your nature. So it's one thing if you take the Svabhava survey and you're like, oh, I'm Jigyasu, I'm a lifelong learner. Great, now what? What are you supposed to do with that? So almost all of these things are taking the information you're learning in the e-courses and making it practical. In other words, bringing it into your life by meeting with me, and I'll help you. I'll help you say, okay, this is your nature. Let's see what your strengths are. Let's see, what you could do with this. And sometimes you aren't aware of that, Okay. So then I have 3 things that I offer for relationships. One of them is called conscious communication. If you've been in our group, the VP group, we did that, right? Where you share how you feel, what you think, especially how the person's triggering you, you tell them, they listen and tell you back. So that's a session. It's a session where you come and you do that, and I guide it for an hour with one person talking, the other listening, and then we meet like that day or the day after, quite soon after, and then the roles are reversed, and the other person talks for the hour and the other one listens. So that's a complete communication kind of loop. So that's called conscious communication, and we teach an e-course called conscious communication. So if you like the course and you're like, ooh, I want to do that. I want to ask, my partner or someone in my life to do this exercise with me. I guide you through that in that service. The next one is called attunement for parents and children. I've mentioned this in some of my lectures. I work with parents and their kids, and they'll bring the kid in, and I'll teach the parent how to attune. Because Babaji is teaching some of the classes on mother attunement. So this is how you bring it practically into your life. Okay? And then the last one is called clever communication for dealing with difficult people. That's all the stuff I've been practicing with you guys for ahankara. But if you're like, okay, that was fun in the class, but how can I don't want to share in the class, but I have a private thing I want to tell you. How can I deal with this person who's really triggering me? I can kind of walk you through some scenarios you can try, and we can even role play and practice. That's a fun one. So those are all the different things I offer. Then the last ones are these sessions for healers. So if you're a healer, I offer something called, remember how I was saying the clinical case study group? So if you are a healer and you're in that case study group presenting your clients, you also can bring your client to a session with me. So it's me and the client, and you're listening, and you present the client. You're like, oh, this is my client so-and-so. I've been working with her on this and this and this. Can you take the Vedic psychology approach? I just haven't been able to work on the grief piece. We've got her digestion under control or whatever, but I can't figure out the grief piece. Can you talk her through that? So I will do, and then the person who's the healer, the clinician, they're listening and taking notes, They're just listening and seeing my style of how I'm finding the samskara or how I'm working with the grief. And then after they're done, and then they go back with their client, and then they can book a session with me called a debriefing session. So that's an hour where they're like, I took notes. I have no idea. Why did you, when she said that she was sad because of this, it's a grief session. Why didn't you ask more about that? Then I can explain why. And I'll also explain what what I saw the issue really is, and how she or he, the healer, can continue to work on that. So I did that. I've done that with a few people. Sometimes I've done like 8 sessions with the healer and the client. It's not sometimes a one-off. Because there's like a Vedic psychology pocket, but the healer's not a psychologist, So the healer's an Ayurvedic practitioner or a yoga teacher or some other type, and they don't quite know, but they've uncovered this deep issue the client has. So instead of sending the client off and saying you should go to therapy, they kind of get to sit in the session and learn more too as a healer about how Vedic psychology works. And so it's a really nice special thing. And the last one is called healer support, because oftentimes you guys probably know, if you're a healer or you know of healers, they kind of take care of themselves last. It's not a good tendency, but it happens, right? So this is for healers to come and talk about, I'm totally burned out, I don't know what to do, I love my job, but I have too many clients, or whatever the thing is. And that takes a kind of a burden off when they have someone to talk to about it. So there's lots of different options for Vedic psychology. So I just wanted to share all of them. Angie's been hearing about them all for 8 months. She's like, another one? I'm like, oh, I just thought of 2 more things I offer. I forgot. Add those. She's like, oh my God. But anyway, so those, lots of different things.
Cool. So I'll take over again.
Yep.
Thank you, Dr. Joshi. Some of you also made very beautiful testimonials. They are sprinkled throughout the website, but we also decided to make a dedicated page where you, friends, family, or people new to Vedic psychology can come and hear about the various stories.
Can I say the people?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we have Bart. You guys know Bharata? He's one of Babaji's disciples. He took the Vedic psychology teacher training program, and his testimonial is talking about how he had a fear of public speaking. And that kind of got in the way of his job, actually, because he needed to do things as an Ayurvedic practitioner to teach, right? And so through his Vedic psychology work with Babaji and me, he got over that fear, and now his job is, he does public speaking. His job as a teacher. He teaches Vedic psychology at one of the most famous and high-end 5-star spa resorts in the U.S. So that's a really nice testimonial he did. Then there's Bhadra, and she's talking about Bhadra's in Spain, and she's talking about a specific course she took, My Mother, Myself, and how that helped her in her life, one of the e-courses. Then there's someone named Ishwara, that you guys might know, sitting in the back. And he was talking about how Vedic psychology helped him in his life. And he's there in the Philippines. He did his, it looks so beautiful. When he's like, oh, I didn't get a time to do a testimonial. I'm like, that's okay, do it on the beach in the Philippines. And it just looks so pretty. Then there's someone we know named Maharani Janava. And Janava is talking about how Vedic psychology helped change her life. Then there's Janaki. She's been doing Vedic psychology for a few years. She gave a wonderful testimonial on how Vedic psychology has helped her in her life. Then there's Jaya Krishnadas. Some of you guys remember him when he was here visiting. He lives in Florida, and he said that Vedic psychology helped change he's never been in a session with me, just classes. And he said how it helped change his relationship with his wife. They have less fights. And now we have a special guest, the most special guest of all. Welcome, Babaji. Hari Bol.
Okay. So what do you want?
Whatever you'd like to share about Vedic psychology. We showed them all the e-courses. We told them about everything, a lot of the pages.
Okay.
So whatever you can add.
Okay, so I don't know what to add, but I just want to say that Vedic psychology is very important for our life, whether material or spiritual, because human beings are not no man's island. They have to work with other human beings, and working with other human beings means working with their mind. In Sanskrit, mind is called manas, and in English the word is called man. So man is M-A-N and manas is M-A-N-A-S. So working with man, or which also means woman, that means knowing the mind. When we deal with any human being, we are actually dealing with that person's mind. No matter how the person looks externally, what is important is what is inside. It's like the screen may look small, big, but what is important is what is the program inside the computer. That's what drives it. You can have the best computer, but if there is a virus in it, then it's going to cause problem. So similarly, human mind can be pure and it can have virus. And there are various types of viruses, right? Some they say are called narcissist. Some say this is called, what is it called? borderline, codependency, all these. These are viruses because they cause trouble to the person in their human relationship. So therefore we have to know it. We have to know if we have the virus. We have to know if the other person has the virus. And the same is true in spiritual life also, because people think that spiritual life is some other human beings. To the same human beings which are in the material world, they come to spiritual life and they come with the same mind. It's not that when they come here they have dropped their mind somewhere. Just like you buy a computer, you can use it for some material purpose and you can use it for spiritual purpose. Computer is same. So you have spiritual purpose, you may have spiritual programs in it, Bhagavad Gita slokas, movies, videos, website, Vedic Psychology Institute, or you can have pornography, same computer. So same is the human mind. You can have all type of garbage in it and you can have all nice things in it. So therefore we have to know this, because psychology means study of mind, study of psyche. That's what psychology is. So it is important for our spiritual progress, since we are on the field of spirituality. It is very, very important. Both ways. It is important for me to know my mind, because if I know it, then I can progress. I can know my weakness, I can know my strength, and then I can act accordingly. And it's also important to recognize others, because I have to relate with others. So everybody needs to have some relationship with some human beings. It is not possible that you can do without that. Although there is now so much equipment, gadgets, that human touch is very minimum, but still it is not absolutely nil. Even if it is through machines, still you have to contact. Even if you write an email, still you are writing an email to a human being. And it depends what you write and what can trigger the other person. So it's very, very important to study this. And spirituality is basically psychology. So in the beginning it is psychology, to study how our mind is going to react to the spiritual practice, because all types of what you call anarthas, unwanted desires, unwanted habits, unwanted thoughts, they start coming up when you do spiritual practice. It's very common. And if we do not know how to deal with that, then we get lost. So therefore on spirituality there is a lot of turnover. A lot of people come to spiritual life and they leave. And the reason for this is that they do not know how to handle their mind. And even if they don't leave, they remain sticking to it, but they don't make much progress. They remain wherever they are. Maybe a little bit, but not substantial. So it is very rare that people progress on spirituality. And this is what Krishna says, Manusyanam sahasresu yatti kaschid siddhahe yattamapi siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvata. So why it happens? It's only for this reason. So people have, especially now in the modern world, where so much knowledge is freely available, and you don't need to go to any guru or any authority and hear. So you make your own program, but it does not work like that. You cannot be your own doctor. If that was possible, then there was no need for medical colleges. So in every field there are experts. So here also there are experts. So originally the experts of mind were the spiritualists. Now you have therapists. But modern therapists are also not that good. So the real therapists were the gurus in India, because they knew mind better than anyone else. So when you read Mahabharata, when you read Ramayana, you read Bhagavatam stories, it's actually speaking about the human mind. It's talking about human mind, how it acts because of its material desires. Everybody has desire to be happy, and you want to be happy in the shortest, easiest way. So then corruption comes. You try to bypass the law, and that catches on you because there are two laws. One is the law of the state, other is the law of God. So you can bypass the state law, it's possible. You can dupe police, court, judges, but you cannot dupe God. So therefore God has got His own witness. He has set a camera right inside your heart. Everything gets stored there and He knows it. So in next life He will give you what you got in this life. It's not that things happen just haphazardly. So they're coming as an outcome of your own actions. That's what is called law of karma. So all these things are related. Karma is also related with psychology. All this prarabdha karma, sanchit karma, kriyaman karma. It's all related with psychology because what is karma? Karma is action. And action comes from you and you act according to your mind. So that's why it's important. So you cannot become free from your karma just like that. So this whole philosophy which Krishna is giving in Bhagavad Gita, how to become free from karma yoga point of view, is also psychology. Because he's saying, Sangat sanjayate kama, kamat krodha vijayate, krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhrama, smriti vibhansat buddhi nashat pranashati. So when your buddhi, your intelligence is polluted, then everything is spoiled. And it gets polluted by association. You have wrong association, you got wrong ideas, then you got wrong desires, then you take wrong action, then you're finished. And it's not only action which happens outside. Every action has got two parts to it. One is the external effect, other is the internal effect. External effect may not be that dangerous. What is dangerous is the internal effect, because that hangs on to you like a ghost. So that's why people get into depression, dejection, grief. Why? Because it is the internal thing. Grief is not caused by external situation. External situation is same for everybody in particular area, but some become depressed, others don't. Why is that? So it is because of the internal. So the something internal gets triggered by the external, and then as a result you go into grief, you go into depression, or you get angry, or you get frustrated, get unenthusiastic, don't want to do anything, you just want to sleep, take drug, drink, all kinds of ideas that then come. So that's why this is very important for every human being. This Vedic psychology is not just for spiritual people. Every human being who has interest, who is serious about being happy and successful in life, should take to Vedic psychology. Because no matter where you are, as I said, you have to deal with human beings, and first of all you have to deal with your own mind. Even if you are alone, still you have your mind. So your mind will bother you, it will trouble you if you don't know how to take care of it. It will drive you nuts. And then, because these days everybody has got a lot of power because of these gadgets. Previously, if your mind went crazy, there was not much to do. Now you can do a lot of things. People can sit remotely and create a lot of havoc. So that's the disturbed mind. So to make this mind peaceful, this is the whole program of spirituality, and that's why this Vedic psychology is very important. So that was the purpose of bringing this subject and having classes, making website. So Joshika has been working more than 6 months on this very hard, like crazy, and Angelica is helping her. So finally it is coming up now. I think it's almost ready to launch now. So it's very good website. A lot of thoughts, a lot of hard work has gone into it. So that's all I wanted to say. If anybody has any question, comment. Loudly.
Yeah, Haribol Babaji, Haribol Joshika, Haribol everyone. I really want to thank you all for this wonderful website. And I think I've just had a look to the different prices of the classes. And I really want to say thank you about that because at least for me it was an obstacle, a real material obstacle. And I feel so happy that now I will have access to all of this. It's really a great, great joy for me, and it's a lot of support. So thanks a lot for all this hard work and all this nice seva from everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmi.
Avalji, pranams. I'm just curious, when did you actually think of Vedic psychology, and was there a series of events or some events which sort of inspired you to think about come up with Vedic psychology?
So this idea was germinating for a long time, because when I started studying Bhagavad Gita from Maharaj, and then he was explaining, so that's when this idea came. Because he was not just reading commentary as you read, but he was explaining what is going on, what is the mind, and he was saying that it's not that things just happened like that. He says Arjuna is just a person who is representing us. So that's why many times he used to say, "Oh, now you are the Arjuna of first chapter." This means you have that mindset. So he says Arjuna is his friend and Krishna wanted to teach. So then Vyasa makes this and explains to us. So it is Vyasa who is basically trying to teach us about human mind, taking this as an opportunity. Otherwise, if you read Bhagavad Gita, 700 slokas, it will take at least 2 hours just reading it. So where is the time for 2 hours them to talk like this? Already Pravritte Shastra Sampate Dhanuruddhamya Pandava. Arjuna has already taken his bow. Conches were already blown. At that time you think they will wait for 2 hours? It's like you're having a soccer match. Both teams are on the field and the referee has already blown the whistle. The football is already in the mid of the field. And then these two captains start talking, or the coach and captain start talking. So you think now everybody is just going to sit in the stadium and wait for them? No. So it may have taken 5 minutes, 7 minutes. Arjuna may have thought, "Oh, Krishna, how I'm going to fight with this? I see Bhishma there." And he said, who may have said, definitely some dialogue happened. It's not that nothing happened. But then it is Vyasa who builds up the whole thing. There is certainly not all this Dhyan Yoga and Sankhya Yoga and all this being spoken there. There is a chance for all that. So this is Vyasa who is teaching us the help of Itihasa. So he is the Vyasa Itihasa. So that's when I got. And then when I studied Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, then I understood more, that all these stages which were being described, anartha, nivritti, nishtha, ruchi, all this. This is nothing but filtering of the mind, basically giving up of your attachments and developing liking for Krishna. So that's basically all in the mind. Ultimately it's bhava, and where is bhava? Bhava is the sadhya. Kriti sadhya bhaved sadhya bhava sa sadhana vida. So sadhya is the bhava and bhava is in the mind. So you start physically. Just like in yoga, you start with asana, pranayama, pratyahara, the dharana, dhyana. So when you come to dharana, dhyana, then it comes to the mind level. Before it is the physical level. So you are entering from physical level to the mind. So similarly also sadhana bhakti, you are starting from physical, mostly, do arti, do kirtan, do this, do that, parikrama, go around, walk. And then ultimately you have nishtha. What is nishtha? That now you do become fixed in doing physical things. Still bhava is not there. Then you start liking it. Then you become addicted. Then it becomes your bhava. Then you are fixed. Fixed in the sense your mind is fixed. So it's all about the mind. Previously mind will go here and there when anartha nivritti stage is, right? Ghanatarla, right? All those stages are there. Visa sangara. So it's all struggle with the mind.
I'm wondering, could you speak about what are the difficulties or the challenges in learning Vedic psychology? I'm wondering especially because now I see there's a website, you just click here, $29, in 10 seconds you're in the course, you can watch it, you can learn. So this looks like, super easy. But when we take the courses, what are the things to watch out for? What are the challenges? And why, when you say that you got this idea when you studied from your Gurudev, Bhagavad Gita and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, this was more than 20 years ago, right? So why has it been taking so much time until you've been giving these in-depth lectures, and so many of them on these topics?
Well, time is taken because obviously I'm only one person and I have so many things to do. It's not the only thing I was doing. Just to bring up this institute, and so much struggle here with people, inside people, outside people. A lot of time went in that. And then people also don't easily support you. It's not that, like I have now people supporting me, not that I always had that. So that's all time consuming. And the people are not ready to accept this. Because generally people think that material thing and spiritual thing. Because they say body is Maya. So what is this? Just chant, everything will happen. So this concept is very strong. And why are you talking about this? So just engage in spiritual activity. What this has to do with bhakti? What this psychology has to do with bhakti? It's like people used to say, not so much now, that what yoga has to do with bhakti. It was not allowed at all, right? Now they're all yoga studios. Previously, you could not do yoga asana or anything. If you were part of temple, then this was all Maya. They will speak against you, they'll throw you out. So you are a Mayavadi. Just chant, what is this? Do kirtan. So mindset was different. Now things have changed also with time. So many books are available.
But then, what are for us now that we are no longer in under these circumstances? What for us are now the challenges in learning it?
No, now also still challenges are there. Not everybody accepts even now. Maybe you have accepted. That doesn't mean that everybody else accepts. Still, people have that mindset, and it's very deep. Because this whole idea to segregate, this is material and this is spiritual. This is very strong. When people come to spiritual life, then they think we have given up material life. So this doesn't form of spiritual life. Spiritual life means, depending on if you are bhakti marg, then doing japa, doing kirtan, doing puja, reciting slokas, this is bhakti. And this has nothing to do with it. That's understanding of the people. Don't think that most people still will accept it. They think this. So most people will accept if you tell them go and do Leela Smaran. Although Leela Smaran is also done by mind. But they won't accept this. They will think this is some crazy idea. Majority of devotees will still say this.
Is this Vedic psychology only based on Vedic knowledge, or did you also consult Western psychology books and ideas?
I studied it, but that's mainly Vedic. But then Joshika is there, she has knowledge of that. I studied Freud, Jung, Adler, all this, many of these things, but I was more seeing how they explain and terminology, and when seeing them from my perspective, how they are presenting it.
So only C.G. Jung you was consulting? Only C.G. Jung you consulted?
I said Freud, Jung, Adler, many others. I have a lot of books. I may have 50 books. I also took some courses from the university on psychology. Stanford University was one of them. I have even a certificate. So I do all kinds of things. Okay. Anything else?
Okay, thank you. So Joshika just reminded me that maybe there's a second part to the question I did about what are the obstacles. So now you spoke about that there are obstacles for people who don't start, right? But what about people like me who are learning and who want to learn? What are the obstacles?
So obstacle is your own mind. For learning anything, your own mind is the obstacle. Not only for Vedic psychology, for anything. So mind has got some tamas in it. and tamas is against the change. Because change is painful. Just like suppose you go for trekking. So it is easy to track where people have already tracked, right? If you have to make a new path, it is very problematic. So similarly, since we have whatever is our age, from our birth we have our mind, so we've been tracking in certain grooves. We have developed certain personality, certain lifestyle, certain ways of dealing with external situation. When someone speaks to me like this, then this is how I respond. Right? So we have become fixed in those ideas. So now to break them is hard work. And you have to use your own mind and your own ahankara. And they are the one who are against it. So the very people whom you want to change, you have to use them to change. So that's the difficulty. That's why you need another person. You call him guru, teacher, therapist, counselor, coach, whatever you want to call. So you need that. Because along with mind there is intelligence, and intelligence generally becomes subdued by the mind. So then intelligence will give you rationalization why you should not change. Like if you don't want to wake up early in the morning, then your intelligence will give you reason why you should not wake up. So you say, well, actually it's Sunday anyway, so why you want to wake up so early? Although waking up has nothing to do with Sunday or Monday. You can wake up early on Sunday also. Sunday is not telling you don't wake up. But that's how it will create in your head. So some other excuse, you went to bed late or you did not fall asleep quickly, this, that. It will give you some reason like that. And then you sleep again. Just one example. So mind works like that. So that is the biggest problem, your own mind. And then other one is that your mind will tell you how you are better than others. So then you start feeling more relaxed, that I'm already doing good. This person is still hanging on this. So you start seeing others and comparing yourself. That's how mind works. So instead of comparing with yourself, you should compare yourself with yourself. That is the way to progress. But then you compare with others, which actually has nothing to do with your progress. If somebody is not progressing, how does it help you? Why is that you have to feel happy or feel great, I'm better? Are you better than yourself? Are you bettering yourself? You can also better yourself, and you can better yourself. So that's what you have to do. So mind creates trouble. Doesn't like change. So mind abhors change. In general, human beings don't like change. If you are habituated to do something in a particular way, and then you are told that there is a better way of doing it, generally you don't immediately accept. First thing is say, no, this is bad. So that unbiased thinking is not easy. Okay?